Now, one other thing you'll notice about the waves today is there's quite a lot of this foam right here. I'm told that's caused by heavy surf and strong winds. Maybe another reason to stay away from the beach for this weekend. Good evening, guys. And if you live in this area, then you know all about the debate over vacation rentals. And let's take a look down below from Chopper 16. Here you're getting a bird's eye view of Rehoboth Avenue. The testimony inside of this courthouse was very emotional today. The mother of the victim was fighting back tears while she spoke, and Shattuck was actually sobbing for the entire time, at times speaking directly to the family. And the cold temperature impacts vehicles big and small. Take the WBOC live truck, which I'm standing on right now. This is the mast that allows us to go live when it's really cold out. This will freeze over, won't go up. That means no live shots. You can't talk Back to the Future without talking about the DeLorean. This one actually belongs to Midshore Bureau Chief Tyler Butler. Inside we've got the flux capacitor. Can't time travel without that. Also, we've got the hoverboard here. Did reach out to the Seaford police. They say at this point, no arrests, no suspects either. I asked them if they're going to be patrolling this building. They said they try, but it's difficult because they don't know when the suspects may return. Now, currently, right now, they're building a fence right here, and everything on this side of the fence will not be able to be used, including this beach area. Also, this bar, stages, restrooms by the stages, and the raw bar will not be able to be used. Just by taking a look at these tiles, you could see that this building has a whole lot of history. That says 1873. Cold enough that I'm glad I'm wearing layers. I think my photographer would agree with me. She was even smart enough to bring along the hot hands. Good evening, guys, and I just want to illustrate just how long that line was. If you look over my left shoulder, you can probably see that white tent by the entrance to Legislative Hall. That's where the line began. It continued around the corner and then up MLK Jr. Boulevard. I really appreciate you joining us today to talk about some of the key issues. First off, we'll start there. What do you think are some of the key issues facing Congress right now?
The most important issue is almost always jobs.
I've done countless stories on developments coming in, neighbors voicing their opposition. County Councilman George Cole says that the area is at capacity. Do you agree with that? Is this growth a good thing? Every lawmaker has their priorities.
Yeah.
How do you form a budget and balance all those priorities?
Well, you look at each agency, number one.
Oh yeah, Paul, there's been quite a lot of water here, and that's because it's been a wet and windy night. Well, one way to illustrate that is just to show you. Take a look at how deep this water is that I'm standing in. Yeah, that's about a foot deep, and I'm not standing in a pond or a marsh. This is where people live. This is Mariner Cove. You could probably, maybe you could see some folks walking through here. They live here, and down by my feet there's all this debris that has gathered. What's most concerning for these folks is that high tide has come and gone. They're worried that with the next one things will be even higher, which has them on edge.
It's scary. It is very serious.
We're joining Renee Ford at Mariners Cove in Longneck. The water is boot-length deep, and homes are surrounded by water, something which has Ford concerned for her home.
Very scary. We have no idea what we're going to go home to. Our house is actually 2 streets over, so we can't get to it. We can't even try to get down the road. We have no idea what we're going to go home to.
What's your worst nightmare?
It flooding out, and then we have nothing.
And of course, Longneck is not alone. Pretty much any area with low elevation is facing similar flooding in Sussex County. For example, just take a look at these photos from Oak Orchard provided by Jim Santangelo. Flooding there is rampant. Two things you might notice about this storm if you head outside. First off, it's windy. That's why I'm so close to this camera, for fear that it might topple over. Second is that rain. In just a matter of seconds, you're seeing how much is building up on the lens. This has the biggest effect on drivers. For example, I'm here on Route 16 in the Broadkill area. This is as far as I dare go because you really don't know how deep that water is until it might be too late.
My fear is that my house would flood. Amor
Noiri lives down that road. He too was blocked by this water and still doesn't know the fate of his home.
It's really distressing because, as I said again, during Sandy, I found like chairs on the lawn and pillows on the lawn, everything. It was really like a war zone. And hopefully it's not going to be the same experience this time.
Neighbors concerned about the future of their homes. Good evening, guys. And one thing to emphasize, there's really no reason to panic. That being said, it is somewhat rare for a shark to be that close to the shore here in Maryland. And if you take a look from Chopper 16, you're getting a look at the beach in the area of 7th Street. For much of the day, the water remained closed for people's safety.
What's up, dog?
Check out this video sent to us by Dallas Harrington. It shows the hammerhead swimming towards his boat.
Shark coming right at the boat.
Hammerhead.
Different phones, same image. Remarkable video of people coming face to face with the shark. That second clip was taken by the staff at Paradise Water Sports. Captain Kyle Miller says that when he saw the shark, his jaw dropped.
We're just driving the boat nice and slowly by, and the fin just rises right out of the water, and you can see the tail just kind of swimming back and forth. It was very cool.
What was your first thought when you saw that fin pop out of the water?
Sweet!
Meanwhile, Chopper 16 captured something you rarely see in the summer: packed beaches, empty water. That's because from 30th Street down, Beach Patrol played it safe and intermittently shut down sections of the water. Meanwhile, down on the beach, dozens flocked to our camera to share their story.
I was like, oh! And then we just started following it all the way down the whole coast.
Now, pinpointing where exactly the shark is has been a complicated process because really, it's been moving up and down the coastline. In fact, just a few moments ago, a shark passed by. And as captured by WBOC photographer Joe Cooper, you can see its fin heading south towards the inlet. Tyler Hone of Philadelphia had his speakers out. Why are you playing this music?
Because there's Jaws out there, I'm telling you. He's coming.
And despite his fear-mongering, the OC Beach Patrol ensures WBOC that there's really no reason to panic.
A shark isn't really a danger in Maryland. We have it here, everybody's talking about it, but it doesn't really pose a danger.
Arbin says hammerheads won't attack unless provoked.
Shark experts will tell you that a hammerhead shark is one of the most docile types of sharks. They're scary looking, but they're not aggressive sharks.
Dude, that's like 6 feet.
Good news as we continue to watch this guy maneuver its way through Ocean City. All right, back up here in Chopper 16. There have been multiple sightings over multiple days, but the Department of Natural Resources has confirmed that the sightings were all the same shark. Most recently, it's been spotted in the Assateague Bay. We'll be sure to continue to watch that shark's movements here in Ocean City. Steve, I want to jump out of the way and let you just get a look at what's left. As you just mentioned, all these hours later, the smoke is still billowing out. There's ash everywhere, and hardly any of the structure still remains. Now the family is keeping one thought close to their hearts. It could have been worse.
It's unrecognizable. I look through here and I don't see any of my childhood memories.
For Janet Watson, the emotions of this fire are still very raw. She grew up in this home and her mom still lived there. And now she says to see it reduced to ash is heartbreaking.
This was the gathering spot of the entire family. Mom's house was the meeting. It was the anchor. It was the glue that held the family together. So to have to rebuild and move on is very hard.
Janet is one of about a dozen family members visiting the home on Wednesday. Her mother wouldn't speak on camera, but told WBOC that she felt like her world was crumbling down. The family says it appears as if an electrical fire is to blame. Brother-in-law Roselle Dukes says he helped build the home with his brother about 50 years ago. Now he says he feels like he lost a connection to his brother, who has now passed away.
We used to do a lot of stuff back there, barbecue hog and everything, raised hog, chicken. It was just a home.
There is a silver lining to this story. The fire was at 2:30 in the morning, and so the mother typically would be fast asleep in the home. However, she was at church late Tuesday night, and so she chose to sleep at a hotel in Lewis instead, a decision that probably saved her life. Son Samuel Duke says that he's thankful his mom is still alive, saying it's now time to move forward.
Like I said, we helped build it. Now it's all pretty much gone. So we have to do it again.
As for the holidays,
In 2 weeks, we will be having the holidays, but we will not be having the holidays here. So trying to find a substitute for Mom's house is going to be difficult because there's no place like home. There's no place like Mom's.
definitely a very emotional loss for the family there in Ellendale. We did reach out to the fire marshal's office. At this point, no announcement of the cause of the fire. Expected damage is about $50,000. Reporting here in Sussex County, I'm Evan Koslof, WBOC News in Ellendale. The year was 1987. Brian had just been kicked out of his own home, and so Brockway, just 18 years old at the time, asked his mom if they could take him in, and so they did, something which led to his death.
His smile, he had this smile that just kind of took you in. Excuse me.
We're joining Peggy Brockway to talk about the loss of her son some 28 years ago. It all started when the family welcomed this man, Ransford Bryan, into their home when he was kicked out of his own. But soon after, 18-year-old Dougie Brockway became suspicious that Bryan was stealing from his bank accounts, and so he alerted authorities. That's when Bryan invited the 18-year-old out to go hunting.
He shot Dougie in the base of his head, blowing his head apart. and then shot him 2 more times. He was dead the first time, but he shot him 2 more times.
Now, all these years later, Peggy Brockway is left with nothing but photos and memories of her beloved child. And on Tuesday, she had an especially painful day. That's because for the 6th time, Brian was up for parole. At the hearing in Smyrna, Brockway pled to keep him behind bars.
My son's gone. He's not coming back. Keeping Randy in jail is not going to bring my son back. But keeping him there will prevent it from happening to somebody else.
At the hearing, Brockway presented a petition, just as she has every other time. On it were more than 1,000 signatures calling for Brian to stay in prison.
He's a danger to anybody. If he would do that to somebody that tried to help him, what's he going to do to somebody that makes him angry or gets in his way?
All right, now we did reach out to the parole board today. They did not want to comment on the process so far. Brockway says a decision can be expected for tomorrow.